Hello everyone, and welcome to a Lizard Trader presentation on trading with the session pivot and VWAP indicators. This is a revised version of last week's webinar. I had some technical issues then, so this is a new and improved version, so I think you'll like it. A little bit about us at Lizard Trader at first. My name is Chris Lassen. I am the CEO and co-founder of Lizard Trader. My background in trading is from a company that delivered market sentiment data to institutional traders. So what we did was to integrate this information in algorithmic trading models and manage futures products. So my background is with systematic trading. And having sold my company last year to a Swiss investment company, I founded Lizard Trader together with Harry here. He is, of course, also known as Fat Tails in the NinjaTrader community, and has programmed some of the most downloaded indicators for the NinjaTrader platform, and is extremely knowledgeable about the markets. He has also programmed the pivot and VWAP indicators that we will present here today. But before we continue, let me put up a little disclaimer here. Trading is associated with the considerable risk, and make sure that you understand that, and keep in mind that the results from the trading strategy that we'll show here today are hypothetical and not based on actual performance. So this is going to be great. My goal for this presentation is to give you a good idea of how to use the pivot and VWAP indicators to identify favorable trading setups, and to use this framework to trade smarter with confidence and consistency. It's really good to have a plan before you start trading live, and to have that plan tested to make sure that everything is working correctly. So what you will get is a strategy template to filter trades based on market trends and the pivot and VWAP indicators. And then we'll look at some specific price action patterns to define our entry points. At the end, we'll then run a backtest to verify that everything is all right and that the concept is sound. To do all that, we will work with a NinjaTrader add-on called Bloodhound from Shark Indicators. And this is a really useful tool to define your trading ideas and concepts, and to backtest whether they make logical sense. As I mentioned, I have worked with trading strategies for many years, and I recently came across Bloodhound, and I find this really helpful and useful to visualize my trading ideas and the concepts, and to work with it in a visual programming context. So you don't really need to be a programmer anymore to create trading strategies. You can work with Bloodhound in a visual way, and create and backtest your trading setups that way. So this will be a very hands-on presentation. You will learn how to spot low risk and high reward scenarios, and put it all together in a profitable trading strategy. At the end of the presentation, I will announce a pre-release offer for a trading strategy package that we will announce publicly later this summer. We're releasing this to our own community first at a special discount, so make sure that you hang around until the end for that. This is a pre-release offer that will only be available for a limited time, so make sure you don't miss out at the end of the presentation. So for our trading strategy today, this is what the concept looks like. We're first going to look at how to identify the market trend, and we will then move into identifying price levels where we are interested in looking at trading setups. And these price levels are defined by the session, pivot, and VWAP indicators, and will increase our chances of success as they identify price zones or areas where we are likely to see major price moves. So they are going to tell us where we are likely to find breakouts or reversals. And then towards the end, I will go over a few very simple price action patterns that we will use as entry conditions. This will be based on price itself. So the only leading indicator that there is, price, and with no further ado and no further delay, we'll look at the identifying a market trend in a what I like to call a anchor chart. The concept of an anchor is to prevent us from going against the trend. So this is a 30-minute chart of the YM, the mini Dow, and basically what this is analyzing is this slope here. This is a volume-weighted moving average, and we're using this as a proxy for price. So if this slope is moving upwards, then we will look for long opportunities. If it is moving downwards, we will be looking only for short opportunities. And the coloring here in the background, that's actually the Bloodhound software. So what we have done here is to tell Bloodhound, analyze this slope here. And if it's going down, then tell us to filter out the long trends, long trades. And if it's going up, we're going to filter out all the short trades. And that will just help us moving with the trend. And when we're taking trades in a shorter time frame, in a 5-minute chart, we will then increase our chances of being on the right side of the trend. In addition, I don't want to be going short in a oversold scenario here. So we have a way for filtering out oversold and overbought scenarios, and we do that by assessing the market value area. So it's not going to be the RSI, and it's not going to be the Bollinger Bands either. We are going to use the rolling VWAP indicator for this. So the rolling VWAP indicator is basically telling us what was the average price over the last 3 days. So this is a daily VWAP indicator multiplied by 3. So it's looking at the volume-weighted average price over the last 3 days. And we find the value area by looking at the first standard deviation. So the area just above and below the VWAP band. And so if the price is moving down and we're in this value area, then we will take trades, because it will prevent us from being in oversold scenarios like down here or down here. And so if we enter trades in this area, we are more likely to catch the trend early on. So it's basically showing us a trend when it's in the black area, and it's exit time when it's in the second standard deviation area. So Bloodhound is detecting this for us. It's looking at whether the slope is going up or down, and if we're in the value area of the last 3 days. So that's our conditions for establishing the market trend. So we want to catch the trend at an early point within the value area, and we want to make sure that we're filtering out the signals in the shorter time frame. So let's have a look at the shorter time frame. We will now move into the daily VWAP chart, and we will look at these price levels that I mentioned, the areas where we are looking to enter the market. And we're looking at these price levels because they are telling us where we expect the price to move. So if we picture this, we're looking for breakouts and reversals. And we're interested in defining where that is likely to happen. So that will, if we can identify these zones where the market will have a reaction around a certain price level, it will enable us to set much tighter stops and to take the profit when we're at the right side of the move. So what we'll do is to look at the pivot and the VWAP indicators to define these price levels where we expect the breakout and reversals to take place. So we'll look at the daily pivot indicator first. So this is a little bit busy, this chart here, but we'll come back to this in a second. The VWAP indicator, basically, it starts anew at the beginning of each session, and the concept of the VWAP is to add all the prices that take place for every transaction during a session and divide it by the total traded for the day. So basically, we start counting at the beginning of the session over here. And as we progress in the session, then the VWAP will take on more and more weight. Let's compress this a little bit to have a better overview. And basically what it tells us is very much similar to the rolling VWAP. So we have the value area here in light blue, and this here is the electronically traded session for the YM, and then here we have the cash session starting. So if we have a trending market, institutional investors will use this as a benchmark for entering trades. And basically, they are under a mandate to enter the market as close as possible to the VWAP band. So let's say the institutional traders, they come into the office a little bit before the cash open, and they see the market is coming down here, and in that case, they will be looking to enter the market when it approaches the VWAP band again up here. And exit will be then towards the second standard deviation here. And this area can, of course, also be used for reversal trades, but this is really a trending day, so there is now really where you could have gone in here, but it's a very high risk proposition, and basically you only want to do reversal trades off the second standard deviation bands if you have additional signals to do that. And the interesting thing about the daily VWAP indicator is that it's also noting the VWAP of the previous day. So up here you see the VWAP of yesterday. And as you can see here in the European session, that was an important reference point for the market. So the European session opened up and it went straight up until this area, found resistance and went back down into the daily VWAP, and again tried to break through here, found more resistance, and then eventually it came back and started this downward trend towards the cash session in the US. And there are also let's take a look here where this, just to make it crystal clear where this yesterday VWAP is coming from. It's coming from the end of yesterday's session. So it's basically just plotting what yesterday's VWAP ended up being and then using that as a reference point for today. So this is an area where we will expect the price to bounce if it hits it. So that's something to keep in mind for our trading strategy. We want to make a note of this price level because we know that the market is very likely to react off of it, just as it is reacting off of this level down here. When we have a price in contact with the VWAP band, there is very, very often a reaction to it. So as mentioned, we also have the previous VWAP band. So let's move towards the session before here because it's a little bit clearer. This one here. Let's take a chart where it's really bouncing off. Yeah, this one is good enough. So again, we're looking at a downtrend here, and you see here now we have. Let's get rid of the old arrows here. We're looking at the VWAP from 2 days ago and the one from 3 days ago. This area in between is colored red and indicating the value area from 2 and 3 days ago. And so basically this is also areas where the price will react. You see in the beginning here, the price was moving above the VWAP of yesterday, found a little bit support in it during the European session, and then came down to it here, found support and support here, made it into resistance up here, and then going all the way down to the pivot from 3 days ago and finding support down here. So basically it's important to make a note of where these levels are, and that's what the VWAP Daily VWAP indicator does for us. And later on we will make sure to utilize these price levels in our trading strategy to make sure that we don't miss out on any trading opportunities around these price levels. So that's it for the daily VWAP indicator. I will now move on to talk a little bit about the pivot indicator. The pivot indicator is, of course, one of the most well-known methods for establishing support and resistance. And it's a concept that's been around for very, very long and was originally popular among floor traders. It's a tradition that still lives on today, although there's hardly any floor trading going on anymore. No big secrets about pivots, really. It's a calculation of the range of the high and the low and the close yesterday, and this really works because so many traders use it and act in a coordinated way when prices reach these levels. So it's a it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that creates reversals and breakouts around these levels because everybody's looking at the same information and managing their trades as the market approaches these levels. So let's take a look at the pivot indicator. Put this in here. So you see here in the European session, it's important to note one thing about the pivot point indicator, and that is that you use the appropriate session template and that you have that set for your indicator. So I will perhaps go through that quickly to make sure that everybody is on the same page here. Most of you are familiar with pivots and know this, but maybe a quick recap of this is in order. So basically, what we're doing here for the YM is to create a pivot based on the high, the close, and the low. So we divide these three levels by 3, and we're looking at the regular session. And the regular session is here. Okay, that's the time window from 8:30 in the morning Chicago time and 3:15 in the afternoon, where the institutional traders have their office hours. And this is the YM, so it's trading on underlying securities, and basically that's where the relevant volume is taking place. So we want to make sure that we take the high and the low and the close of that time period, not of the entire electronically traded session. So let's have a look at this. See here, this is turns out to be a good example. This was the regular session of yesterday. So the close, the low was just before the close here. So we have the high, the low, and the close, whereas the entire electronic session was starting all the way down here. So the low would have been way down here, and we'd ended up having a completely different pivot range and very different supports and resistance levels if we had taken the entire session instead of just the regular session, which is the cash hour that is appropriate for this instrument. For Forex, it would be different because you don't really have a physical exchange located in a specific time zone somewhere. So it's a different story. For commodities, it's also relevant, I think, to isolate this cash session. So keep that in mind when you're working with the pivot points indicator. And we also have a session template handbook that comes with one of our products. When you buy one of our products, you will have also the session template handbook to make sure that you have your charts set up correctly for this session indicator or other session indicators from us that you might use in the future. So basically, back to the concept of a trading strategy here. That was a little bit of a tangent, but I think important to understand when you're working with the pivot point indicator that you want to collect the price data that is based on the most volume traded, and that is certainly during the regular session. So basically, to come back to our strategy concept here, we want to make sure that we are finding these price levels, and price level in the pivot indicator is of course the pivot itself, and that's down here. And based on this value, we create resistance and support levels, and you see that the market is reacting off of this, having a little bit of a resistance here, and then going straight up to yesterday's high and finding very much resistance there, and just coming straight back into the pivot, and then finding support down here at yesterday's close level. So if we're making note of the close, the low, the high, the different resistance and support levels created by the pivot indicator, then we will have a good idea where we expect breakouts and reversals to happen. So that's going to be an important part of our strategy. And perhaps a little demo of Bloodhound would be in order at this point to show you really how we can work with this. So bear with me here as I set Bloodhound up on the chart. So you add Bloodhound basically as an indicator to your chart, and then you will have a dialog window to work with. Let me just get rid of the drawings here, and the dialog window you can access from up here. And then now we can start defining our rules. And there's a drop-down menu here where you can analyze different types of indicators and price actions and thresholds and time zones and whatnot. And in this example, I will just go over how to add these support and resistance levels that we're interested in to anticipate the breakout and reversal zone. So we will use the indicator comparison for that. We will add it. And we then have the opportunity to compare indicator A, which is going to be price, to indicator B, which is going to be the session pivot indicator. And we are here going to isolate the price bars that are in touch with the pivot point. And so we will say that make a note when the high is touching the pivot, or the low is touching the pivot, or the price is straddling the pivot. So we can now enter the pivot indicator in the comparison. So we'll find the VWAP Daily pivot, add it. The plot that we will select for this example is PP pivot point. And again, very important for the session pivot indicator, remember to choose the session that you want to draw data from. So we're choosing the regular session and we're working with intraday data. We hit OK and see what happened. We have shorts, or a short indication when the price is below the pivot, and we have a green indication when the price is above the pivot. So not exactly what we're looking for, because we're really just looking at, we want to isolate the price action that's in this area. So we will now exclude, we will do an exclusion of all signals that are, oops, here, my Bloodhound window disappeared. We will exclude the signals that are only short or long, because we want to focus and isolate only the price bars that are straddling the pivot point. So let's find our indicator comparison. It's here. And we can add a function node, which is called the long short modifier. And that will get rid of all the unnecessary noise that we don't want. And so if we had hooked this up, now it's just telling us of the price bars that are straddling the pivot point. And of course, we can widen this out to focus on the pivot range, so the area between the directional pivot and the central pivot. But for this purpose, we'll just keep it simple. Let's add one condition for focusing on this price bar up here, just to show you that we can, within the framework of Bloodhound, fairly easily identify and isolate price action points that are very significant when we're evaluating trading opportunities. So let's go into solvers and rename this with something that is easier to remember. So we call it the high-low of the pivot point comparison. And then we can simply copy this and very quickly duplicate our condition. So now we're going to look for the high of yesterday. The plot is found right here. We hit OK. And within our logic tree, we can locate, oh, see, we forgot to rename it. That's an important step not to forget, else there will be much confusion. So yesterday high, and now we should be set to go. Okay. So we have, I'll put it underneath here, add a long short modifier to isolate only the bars that are touching the yesterday's high, or straddling the yesterday's high rather. So connect this up and with this. And here you see we have isolated this bar right up here. So it's a little bit bigger. Okay. So I think you understand the gist of this. At least I hope you do. In order to make this complete, we will add a ORD node in here because we want to identify all of these price points, not just one at a time. So here we will add the pivots, and here we will add yesterday's high. And if I had more time, I would go on and adding all of these resistance and support levels. But I think you understand the gist of it. I will add all of the resistance levels, the pivot point, yesterday's close, low, and high, in addition to the price levels that we just went over in the daily VWAP indicator. So we will also add when the prices are in this area and in the VWAP of 2 days ago and the current VWAP, we'll make a note of all the prices that are trading in that area to evaluate interesting areas to enter the market. They're interesting because that's where the price is going to have a reaction, and so we can reach our profit or stop loss fairly quickly and not just be sitting as ducks waiting for something to happen. And we do that finally now by entering our price action patterns. And that's basically going to be looking for certain patterns when the market is lined up with these price level zones. And we have a couple of examples lined up here. We have price inflection, buying, and identifying buying and selling pressure, and indicator slope. So price inflection is pretty simple. So it's when we had this bar here. This was closing up. Let's just go straight to the chart for this. It will be better and easier to demonstrate. Not that chart. Let's see here. This one. Yeah. Okay, so let's make this a little bit bigger. So we isolated this high level as a interesting area to enter the market, and now we're just looking at the price action itself. So we're going to look at, let's get rid of this, a little bit distracting the Bloodhound drawings on this. So to explain, price action that we're looking for here is when the price inflects. So last price bar here was closing up, And now the next bar here, this one, this is closing down. It's inflecting down, and that's a first indication that the price is turning, or it can be the first indication that the price is turning. So in order to add that in Bloodhound, I will put that back on here now, and I'll show how easy it is to add a condition like that within the Bloodhound infrastructure. So we have here a indicator inflection solver. We add that, and this is basically just looking for a reversal point. So we can go in here and choose price, and that's it. So it's now finding prices that are inflecting up or inflecting down. Let's go create the logic here. Add our solver that we just created. And there you have it. It's marking this as a short because it's inflecting down. It's marking this as a long because it's inflecting up. This one closed down, this is closing up, price inflection. All right, another thing about this bar right here that's interesting is the selling pressure that we see in it. So we can identify selling pressure by comparing the high of the bar to where it closed. So this is closing really in the very low area of the range. And let's see, let's say we want to go with the lower 30% of the bar. So that would make a comparison to the other 40% or so of or the other 70% or so of the bar. So in order to do that, we would go in and add another solver here, and that would be a indicator comparison. So we would then that's actually not so good practice what I'm doing here. Let's go into the proper solver here, and we will name this here close comparison to % of bar. Okay, so the indicator A is going to be price, and indicator B is going to be the high and the low of the bar. So for long, we're going to compare with the low because the close is going to be in the upper area of the range, and for shorts, we're going to be comparing with the high because it's going to be closing in the lower area of the range. And in order to make the calculation, we will go in here, change it from ticks to ATR, and we will compare with only one bar, and we will compare with 66, let's say 67% rounded up, and the same for the large amount. So change it from ticks to ATR and go with the current bar and enter a value of 0.67. Okay, and now we can go back into this logic window and add our solver from here. And in order to add both of those, we want both of those conditions to be true, so we will add them with a AND logic node. and see what the result is. So now we've filtered out a couple of those bars that we had before. And this one is definitely having a selling pressure here. This is having a buying pressure. It's closing in the upper area of the range of the bar. And again, here there's selling pressure. So basically this is, you see the general idea of these price action conditions is to identify patterns based on price alone, but in the vicinity of these price levels that we have already introduced. So that was price inflection and buy and sell pressure. And then we have indicator slope. Basically, we want to sell resistance. We want to be selling if the price has been moving up into this area. So we can add a condition that says if the price in the short time frame in the 5-minute chart, if it is moving up to an area like this, then we want to be selling, because the trend chart, the 30-minute chart, is going to take care of the long and short filtering anyway. So we know that we're going with the trend, but we're selling the retracement up to a resistance area. So that's a clever way to really get good execution. So here we can add a smoothed slope to our chart. Let's go with the last 12 bars to get the last hour of price action. And okay, we hit OK. No, I don't want to say that. It's just a demo. So let's see if we can get our slope up here. It's a little bit thin. Make it a bit thicker so everyone can see it. Okay. All right. And what we'll do now in Bloodhound is basically just to show you how easy it is to add this slope analysis to a trading strategy. So if the slope is moving up, we want to be selling. If it's moving down, we want to be buying. So let's see how we can do that. So we go into our template again here, and the indicator slope solver is going to be the one that we'll work with. And let's go in here and choose the same slope that we put on the chart. So that's a super smoother, and add. Let's look at same time window, hit OK. And now here's the important thing. You can output in direction. That's the default. That's the one that we used for the trend filter. So if it's moving up in the trend, we're going long. If it's moving down in the trend, in the 30-minute chart, we're going short. But in this 5-minute chart, we want to do the opposite. We want to go against direction, because we want to sell the retracement or buy the retracement. So we want to sell when the slope has been moving up to resistance area, and we want to buy when it's been moving down into a support area. So we need to set this to 1 in the output against direction. Okay, so we have that. We go back into to the logic tree here, and we add the indicator slope. And there we have it. So slope is moving down into a support area here, the pivot, and we get a long signal. moving up here, we'll get a short signal. Keep in mind, though, that we haven't added these price levels here in this simple setup. I've just gone over a quick demo on how to add some of the price action rules here. And what I will do now is to show you the template for the entire strategy. So you get an impression of how the finished product looks like. It will be, as I said, too much to go through all the conditions here, but I think you can deduce from what I've shown here how to put it together. So over here we have the price action rules that I just went through: the indicator slope, the price inflection, the buying and selling pressure. The bar length is also an important condition that I've added, basically saying that we don't want to enter the market after we've had a huge move. So if it's anything more than 15 ticks or so, then we're not taking a signal right after that. We're not throwing us in front of the bus. And also the time session solver will tell us only to trade within the regular session. So just during the cash market, this strategy here. And then over here, we have the price levels all defined: the high and the low of the second resistance, the first resistance, the first support, the second support, yesterday's high, low, and close. Further down here, we have the VWAP levels and the pivot. And over here, we've added the 30-minute chart. So this is really great about Bloodhound. You can just add a new chart series into your strategy, and really great function to be working with anchor charts. So 30-minute charts here is really filtering out all the noise from our trading strategy here. So now that we can take a look at two trades here put up. So here we have this. We got a little bit lucky with the slope here, I think, because it's just turning down here, and we're just at the pivot. So we do get a signal out of that, and we see there's also a good buying pressure on that bar. It's inflecting up. The slope is coming down a little bit. So this is really a bit of a lucky signal here, but it worked. So great. And let's see here, we have a short signal. Okay, so the slope is moving up. It's moving up into this low level of yesterday. We have a significant price pressure on this bar. It's inflecting down. It's closing in the lower area of the range when compared to the high. And so this is a good short opportunity here. All right, so let's move on to the backtest and look at how this is done since the beginning of the year. This is the curve. It looks to be fairly steady within this market regime and this type of volatility that we're experiencing right now. But keep in mind that there is no strategy really that is appropriate for all market conditions. So this is working right now in these conditions, but it might not in the future. So just to have that said. So this is based on a total of 46 trades. Average losing trade is about 75 bucks. Average winning is 150. So it's taking just very small slices out of the market, which I think is appropriate for day trading. Just one contract here. You could ramp that up a little bit to maximize here. We have a profit factor of 1.72. Keep in mind though that this is not reflecting commission and slippage, so you need to factor that in as well. I just wanted to do a quick test of this to make sure that this was a sound concept, and there is certainly a lot of room for improvement here, especially on the exit side. For exit conditions, I've just set this to a ATR calculation. So we're looking at a ATR of 50 bars and profit target at 3 and stop loss at 1.5. So you can create a logic tree with better exit conditions as well. So this is really more of a starting point than a finished strategy. Maybe this is even best for identifying discretionary trading setup. So looking pretty good so far this year. So with the strategy package that I'm presenting here today, you will get the session pivots, the session pivot package. I've shown the daily pivots here today. You also have weekly and monthly, and you have the Jackson zones, which is a bit more exotic. It's popular among Forex traders, and yeah, this is a really professional indicator package. So if you want to use the tools that the professionals use, this is it. And this will really increase your probability of success quite significantly, because you will know where the price action is, and you will be much better prepared to identify areas where you can expect a breakout or a reversal. Same can be said for the volume weighted average price indicator. You have the daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly VWAP, and the rolling VWAP, which I also showed you earlier. And again, for Forex traders, the RWAP. That's based on range, because for the Forex instruments, we don't really have a reliable source of volume information, because there is no central exchange. So Harry has programmed a proxy for volume based on a range calculation, and according to the testing that we've done so far, this is looking really good in emulating the volume information that we have from other instruments. So should be of interest for Forex traders out there. Then, of course, the TVAP, which is the origin of this concept, distributing the contracts on just time bars. So you can use that as well, but we recommend the VWAP or the RWAP. That's the updated versions of this concept. And what you have then with the session pivot and the VWAP indicators and Bloodhound is a way to track multiple charts. So I've shown you the price levels in the daily VWAP and the pivot point indicator, and you can put this all into one strategy and really have an objective signal. You don't have to guess whether a condition is met anymore, whether it's inflecting up or down, or if it's really a buying or selling pressure, or if it's touching the pivot point, or if it's in line with the trend chart in the 30-minute. So it's really a way to professionalize your trading and to go at it with a bit more systematic approach. So we've thrown in the Bloodhound software in this package for that purpose. They really have a great support, and so if you have any questions related to Bloodhound, they are really helpful and will back you up on creating your own strategy concepts. I also have weekly workshop classes, and the real benefit of this is really that you can backtest the systems that you're working on to make sure that this is sound and logical in moving forward with live trading. So normal price for these 3 packages is just north of $1,000. We will have a amazing discount here today, in addition to a couple of great bonuses. So this pre-release offer is not going to be up for very long. We have a official launch of this later this summer, but as I mentioned, we wanted to get this out to our own community first. So it's available for a price the next couple of days that will never be lower than this. So the first bonus that we have in store for you, if you decide to go in on this, is the session template handbook, and that will make sure that you have your charts set up correctly for use of the session pivot or any other session indicator, to make sure that you have really that you're working with the right session RTH or ETH for Forex. So that's a very, very helpful tool, and we've had quite amazing feedback from our customers on that. Normal price for this is just north of $1,100, and then we have the second bonus, the strategy template that I've shown you today. It's I think quite a solid concept, and you can really use this to build and make your own sophisticated trading system using this as a basis for that. And then have a total value of almost $1,300, which is today offered at $890. And as I mentioned, we will release a official version of this later this summer, and the price will go up on that. So if you want to lock in the deepest discount possible on this, then today or tomorrow is the time to do that, because this won't be up for that long. Also, a third bonus, which is available for the 3 first registrants, is a one-on-one coaching for making sure that you have everything set up correctly. I can answer any questions on the strategy template and make sure that you're good to go. If you're already a customer of Lizard Trader, and you only need the Bloodhound software, then get in touch with us, because we can get a discount for you on that as well. So keep that in mind. If you're already a customer of ours and you want the Bloodhound software, then we can get you a discount on that as well. So to get access to this, you just go to lizardtrader.com/strategy-webinar, and you click the Order Now button, and you will then be sent to our license agreement that basically just says, please don't hack our software and put it on the internet for everyone to use. So if you can accept to that, then you will be directed to PayPal, and where you can pay with your account or with a credit card. So this is the place to go if if you want to take advantage of this pre-release offer. The price will never be lower than this, and I think some of the bonuses that you're getting with it are quite valuable. So lizardtrader.com/strategy-webinar, and you can order now. I hope you like this this video. Please share it via Facebook if you did, add a comment below or tell me what you got out of it. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel for upcoming videos. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you'll be in touch soon, and take care, and bye-bye.